Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me for part two of our Circles for Circulation program. So, this part two is going to be a floor practice, and we don't actually need any props. So, I do have a blanket underneath me. We will be starting on our back. So, if you're on a hard surface, maybe grab a blanket or a towel and take it underneath, little extra padding. And we're going to move through all of these joints again, circling, circling, circling. So go ahead and come down onto your back and I'll meet you there. And as we come down, let's take a bend to these knees. Let your feet come to the floor. We'll take just a moment here to kind of land and locate, right? Kind of drop the low back into the floor. And then from here, I'm going to have us open these arms out into a T, and we'll bring the knees in towards your chest. And we're going to start to draw circles around your sacrum, which is the keystone between the two halves of your pelvis, right? The bone that we refer to as your sacred bone. It's the bone that allows us to be bipedal, to stand on 2 feet and to carry a load. So take a moment to draw some circles. We'll keep the knees together. Really, we're bringing a sweet sense of pressure to the glutes, to the low back. So this can feel really massaging. Again, this is why it's nice to have a blanket or a towel underneath. All right, let's take just one more circle in this direction, and then I'm going to meet you back at center, and we're going to start to circle these knees the other direction. So it's almost as if we have an imaginary clock painted around the sacrum, and we're bringing a little bit of pressure to each number on that clock, really massaging into the low back, getting the circulation moving through the glutes, and it feels kind of amazing. So let's say that the next time that your knees are in towards your chest, we're going to pause and we'll meet each other here. And from this place, you can take your hands to cup your knees. And we're going to do mixer knees, which means you're going to let your knees start to separate. One knee is going clockwise and the other knee is going counterclockwise. And we'll get some movement going here. And this is more about getting that synovial circulation moving around the joint of the hip, right? So moving the head of your thigh bone around in your hip socket. And then start to circle your knees the other way. And we might notice as we continue with these circles that we've also got some forward and backward tilt of the pelvis going on. So a little sweet sense of starting to find some mobilization into the low back, right? Pelvis tips forward as the knees move away, and the pelvis tips towards us as the knees come in towards the chest. So maybe just another circle or two. Maybe you want to change directions one more time. And then we're going to meet each other back with these knees in towards the chest. And from here, you can let your feet go all the way back to the floor. So we're back in the place where we started. And again, I'm going to invite us to open these arms out into a T. So you're reaching your arms out and away from the heart space. And we're going to keep your right foot to the floor, but you're going to bring just your left knee in towards your chest. And we're going to come back to drawing circles, but this time no hands and only one knee. And because we're not using our hands, this is what's called an open kinetic chain, right? And we're actually going to start to build a little bit of warmth around the muscles that sit around the joint of your left hip socket. All right, so I want you to notice what you're noticing. It might be fluid, there might be sticky areas, right? If there's areas where it feels a little crunchy, we might slow that circle, or we might start to draw even smaller circles, right? So find what works for you, but we really want to just tap into this place of fluidity, of circulation. We're really getting that synovial fluid lining the inside of the joint. All right, circle the other way. And many of us are going to notice that some of the muscles around the joint are starting to warm, right? They might even be starting to fatigue. So let's give ourselves permission to kind of tap into this for a couple more circles. Remember, you can draw that full range of circle, or they can be little circles. But we don't need to extend the legs. You can keep that nice, healthy bend in the knee. All right, as you come back to center, let's let both feet go to the floor. And before we do this to the second side, we're going to stretch these legs out. And we're just going to pause. You might find a nice big sigh, maybe a yawn, maybe feel that sense of residual circulation moving around the hip socket. And then from here, let's come back to the bend in the knees, both legs. And we'll keep the left foot to the floor and you'll bring your right knee in towards your chest. And here we go. Let's notice what's happening on this side, right? So we know, we're pretty certain that we're not going to be even on both sides. And I want us to really tap into these nuances of felt sensations. Right? Notice if one area feels tighter. Notice if one area feels more fluid. Right? Draw your smaller circles if we need to. Slow the circles. Right? Sometimes we start to move through something that builds heat and we want to go faster and faster, like we're going to get it done if we go faster. And really what we want to do is reclaim a healthy range of motion, right? I like to refer to that as ROM. Draw your circles the other way and maybe you repeat this to yourself. ROM, 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 ROM. Right? ROM, ROM. We want our healthy range of motion. And this is a ball and socket joint, right? It likes to draw circles. Find a couple more circles in this direction. And then we're going to pause again, 2 feet to the floor. And from here, you can stretch your legs all the way back out. And let's just notice if a sigh or yawn wants to come in. And there we go. We can also check in with the circulation around the hip socket, around the hip flexors. All right, this time we're going to leave the right leg all the way in extension. We're going to come back to the left side here. So you're going to bring your left knee in towards your chest, and we're going to take the clasp around your shin for Apanasana. So now we're really squeezing, releasing the back. This is wind relieving pose, right? So nice big stretch for the outer hip. And we're going to start to move through the joint of your knee. So from here, extend your leg up towards the sky. And then bring your knee back in towards your chest. So the knee is more of a hinge, right? We go forward and backwards. The knee doesn't really draw circles, right? It goes into extension and flexion. So let's find a few more of these. And along the way, we're getting a little stretch into the hamstrings, into that posterior chain of connective tissue here on your left leg. So let's say we're going to do one more of these. And that the next time you find your left leg reaching up to the sky, that's where we're going to pause. And we're going to take some moments to draw some circles with the ankles. And I want you to see if you can find movements into your toes as well as the ankle. And then, of course, draw the circles the other way, lubricating the joints around your feet. And maybe we feel a little bit of heat coming into the calves, into the shins, into the peroneals, because those muscles are really in charge of helping you move your ankles and your toes. All right, from here, let's pause with this left leg reaching up. We're going to take a bend now back to that right knee. So right foot is to the floor, and you're going to open these arms back out into a T. And we're going to draw bigger circles with your legs. So you're going to start to lower that left foot towards the floor. And right before it touches the earth, bring it out to the side and back up and down towards the earth, out to the side and back up. And we're going to continue with these. And this is what I like to call free range organic movement, right? If you want to let your pelvis kind of roll with the weight of your leg, you're welcome to do that. If you want a little more core stabilizing, keep the pelvis on the floor and just draw circles with the legs. It's kind of a different animal depending on which one you choose. So we're going to do one more big circle. And as you find your left leg coming back up to the sky, let's meet in this place. And we'll externally rotate the left leg so the toes point out towards the left and bring your ankle to rest on your thigh. So good old figure four. We're going to take a moment to do just a little bit of rocking of the figure four side to side because this helps us prep for thread the needle. So take a couple moments, enjoy some rocks. Nervous system likes rocking. So take another beat or two. And then from here, I'm going to meet you back at center. And we're going to lift this right foot up off the earth. And you're going to take your hands to hold that right thigh or maybe interlace behind the right thigh. Find a nice big in-breath through your nose. Open your mouth and let it go. We're going to be here for another breath or two. And I'm going to suggest that we dorsiflex this left foot and you spread your toes as bright as you can. So we stay really active in that top leg and you can feel that activation move all the way up to the outer hip here. So maybe another nice big in-breath. Maybe another nice big out-breath. And then from here, go ahead and release that right foot to the floor. We'll release the left foot to the floor. And we're going to take a moment to stretch both legs out again to integrate all that movement. So arms can come to the side and we'll bring a close to the eyes. And we'll notice again that there is a lot of circulation moving around the hip socket on your left side. Nice job. All right, let's keep the left leg extended out. Take that bend into the right knee. Interlace your hands around your shin and give yourself that sweet little hug. We're really stretching these legs in opposite directions. And then from Uttanasana, stretch your leg up to the sky. And exhale, knee in towards your chest. Good. A few more times like this, enjoying the expansion and the contraction, remembering all those lymph nodes that sit in the groin, right? One of these things that we have when we start to get our circulation moving is that it's not just the cardiovascular system, right? It's not just the synovial circulation, but it's the circulation of our lymphatic system that's being pumped right now. All these lymph nodes in the back of the knee, the lymph nodes in the groin. This is good medicine, y'all. All right, the next time that your leg is reaching up to the sky, let us pause. We'll meet here and we'll go ahead and find these circles with the right ankle. Maybe stretching toes as we go. We've got all these joints down there, right? What is it like to find a little more range of motion for your toes? And then circling the other way. Yes. All right, this is good stuff. Let's go ahead and pause here. And we'll take this bend into the left knee. So the sole of the left foot's on the floor. Arms open out. And here we go. Let's start to drop that right foot towards the earth and then sweep it out to the side and back up. And again, maybe you're noticing that you're kind of rolling with the weight of that right leg, not because the leg itself or the bones are heavy, but those big muscle groups of your hamstrings and your quadriceps have a lot of blood in the tissues, right? So there's some weight there. So again, you're rolling with the weight of the leg, or maybe you're stabilizing the pelvis and activating a little more muscular strength to draw these circles. So your choice. All right. The next time right leg is reaching up, we are pausing and you're externally rotating ankle to your thigh. All right, let's do a couple of these rocks here, side to side, just prepping the hips for coming into that figure four. Figure four is such a great way to release low back tension. So if you're someone who has chronic low back tightness, put this in your toolkit. And the next time that your figure four legs are back towards center, pause. Let's dorsiflex that right foot. Spread your toes. And then lift the left foot up off the floor. You're going to take your hands to hold the left thigh or maybe interlace behind. And we might notice that as we come into this, there is a tendency to want to hold our breath. So you're going to find a nice big in-breath. Open your mouth and let the exhale go. All right, one more round of breath. And then from here, let's go ahead and release. And just like we did on the left side, as your right foot comes to the floor, stretch both of your legs out so that we can take a moment to let our body integrate, right? We have all of these systems of knowledge in our bodies, right? Beyond the thinking mind. We've got the nervous system and the digestive system, cardiovascular system, respiratory system, lymphatic system. So sometimes we just need to get out of our own way, right? Let these other systems do the jobs that they're here to do. All right, take a bend to your knees. Let's roll over to the right or the left, and I'm going to meet you here in this upright position. And as we come to have a seat, we're going to start to navigate here away from the hips and the ankles and the knees and back up into the upper body. So a little more movement for spine, shoulders, and neck. So we're going to come into a seated position with our sitting bones on the floor. And this way our hands can come to either side of the hips and we'll walk these fingertips out. And we're going to walk those fingertips out as far as they go. And you're going to plug your thumbs into the floor, index, middle, ring, pinky finger. All 5 fingers is an easier way to say that. And then from here, I want you to find what we call slouch asana, right? You're going to round your spine. Okay. Keep those fingertips plugged into the earth. And let's start to grow nice and tall. And really what we're doing is tapping into our own tensegrity, right? Tensegrity is a blend of tension and integrity, right? We're really giving a nice tug on that superficial fascia that lies just below the skin. So from here, let's drop the left ear to the left shoulder. Roll your chin down towards your sternum. Say hello to your heart. And then let's roll right ear to right shoulder. And we're gently going to tip back. And you're going to find that circle a couple more times. So obviously continuing our journey of circles for circulation, but moving up into neck and shoulders, everyone's favorite. All right, the next time that you're gazing in towards your heart, whisper a sweet nothing to your heart space. And then lift your head, place it back on top of your spine, and we'll go the other way. So we're going to take right ear to right shoulder, roll chin to sternum, and then roll over to the left and gently tip back. All right, here we go. Circles for circulation. Let's see if we can keep that spine nice and tall. And the next time that you're gazing in towards your heart, Smile to your heart. And then we'll lift the head, place it back on top of the spine, and you can start to soften those hands and bring them in. And it might be nice here to just change the cross of the legs. So let the other shin go in front. And we're going to take this left hand and you're going to place it on your right knee. And you're going to bring your right fingertips to your right shoulder like a baby bird wing. And then we're going to drop this baby bird wing right alongside your rib cage. And then you're going to sweep it forward. And I want you to look at your elbow with your eyes and then track your elbow as you reach it up and back behind. So that not only are we circling through that shoulder joint, but we're starting to find some mobilization into your thoracic spine, right? The area of your spine that is connected to your rib cage. So let's do a couple more circles. And let's say that the next time that your elbow's pointing back behind you and you're looking back behind you, this is where we're going to pause and you're going to start to unfurl your fingertips to the floor. All right, root down with that right hand. Stay sitting nice and tall. And let's turn the head to look back over that front left shoulder. And you're going to drop your left ear to your left shoulder. So good. All right, let's keep this left hand to your right knee, but pick up your right fingertips. Bring this right arm out in front of the left, and you're going to hold both of these knees. And we're going to bow back in towards the heart space. Find a little rounding to the spine. We're in a pretty tight boundary here, right? Because you're holding your knees, but it might be nice to find a little somatic exploration. You just kind of circle around here, right? Kind of move through that right shoulder, move through the left. See what's here. Can we find a little more stretching for the back body? And then go ahead and find your nice tall spine. And this time, right hand stays to that left knee, and we'll release the left hand. And we'll find baby bird wings on this side. All right, from here, elbow comes down. Sweep it forward so you can catch it with your gaze. And then keep tracking that elbow as it sweeps up and back and down. And up and back and down. All right, let's find a few more of these. We're really combining movements here, right? Shoulder joint and upper back. Feels so good. We get some movement of those shoulder blades around on the upper back. Oof, let's do one more circle because it feels so good. And then as that elbow points back behind you, pause, unfurl the left fingertips to the floor. Sit nice and tall. And then let's turn just the head to look back over that front shoulder, right shoulder. Drop the right ear to the right shoulder. And there is that glorious stretch. Right? We have so many requests and practice for getting into the scalene muscles. And these are these neck muscles that are so connected to your nervous systems. Get them a nice big stretch. And then keeping that right hand to your left knee, let's bring the left arm around in front, right? You're in your own version of your own homemade straitjacket, so it's a pretty tight boundary. Round your spine like a cat, right? Tuck your chin into the space between the upper arms. And again, option to just find a little bit of exploratory movement here. Maybe finding a little shimmy, a little shift. All right, from here, we're going to pause and you're going to start to lift your spine, and I'll meet you back here and we'll release these knees. And from here, let's turn around and transition into tabletop. All right, once you're in your tabletop position, right? Wrists are underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the hips. This is what we call quadruped, 4 points of contact with the earth. Let's turn the fingertips out towards the long edge of the mat and then go one more rotation. So these fingertips point back. And we're coming right back into circles for circulation. So you're going to move over to the left and then shift forward and then to the right and then shift back, right? Couple circles in this direction. Nice big stretch for forearms, for wrists, right? We've been through ankles and knees and hips and shoulders and spine. All right, circle the other way. So now we get to include some movement here for forearms and wrists. And they do a lot for us. So now is a chance to give them a little love and attention. All right, as you come back to center, let's pause. And we're going to release these hands so the fingertips point forward. And I'm sure we're ready to come off of the wrists. So let's go ahead and drop this down to forearms. And as we do this, let's reach across just to see that the elbows are underneath the shoulders. And then from this place, you can come back to your Sphinx arm setup. And let's look back to these knees. I want you to bring your right knee in line with your navel, because that's really going to be your stabilizing leg. And then from here, we'll keep the bend in the left knee, but you're going to lift that left thigh. So we look like this. And then from here, we're coming back for one more set of circles. So let's go out to the side and down and up and out to the side and down and up. Find your circles here, right? We've been circling through the hip joint almost since we started today, but we're definitely changing our orientation to gravity. And we might notice that it takes a little more work to do this. So let's draw some circles the other way, right? In part 3 of our practice, we're going to start to move up to some standing positions. And that changes things as well. One more circle. All right, go ahead and deliver that left knee down. Walk the knees back in line with your hips. And from here, we're going to take the left knee in line with your navel and let's lift the right. All right, from here, we're going out to the side and down and up and out to the side and down and up. All right, we're off to the races here, right? Enjoying this range of motion. Reclaiming our range of motion. Couple more circles. And then change directions. Right? We might notice that it's more fluid or more easeful moving in one direction than the other. This is definitely more muscular, so we're starting to build a little bit of heat. Maybe you're feeling your glutes starting to activate. Let's do just one more circle and then knee comes down and we'll take these knees back in line with the hips. And from here, we're going to stretch that left leg back and you're going to stretch your right leg back. And we're going to lower both knees, tops of the thighs, pelvis and belly. Take a nice big sigh. All right, turn your fingers out towards the long edge of the mat. Press your hands into the floor, lift the forearms, and then slide these arms all the way forward. Come all the way down to the floor. And once you're here, let's come into what we call makrasana, which means you're going to stack your left hand on top of the right, and you're going to bring your forehead to rest on the back of your hands. This is such a great shape to come into, to really access a full diaphragmatic breath, right? The arms are up alongside the ears. So that allows the body to start to breathe a little bit deeper with a little more ease. All right, we've moved through toes, we've moved through ankles, we've moved through knees, we've moved through hips, we've moved through spine and shoulders and wrists and neck. Now is the time to integrate the practice. So I'm going to leave you here in this place. I'm going to suggest that you pause here in your Makrasana for about another 3 or 4 rounds of breath. If you've got a few more moments, stay for a few more rounds of breath. I'll meet you in part 3 for our standing Circles Are for Circulation program.